Thank you. They asked me to be as short as possible. So let's run through it. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is how our North Sea most often looks like. It's rainy, wavy, and empty. Actually, in reality, it is one of the most intensively used areas in the world, and here in Belgium we have a separate Secretary of State. So Mr. Bartommelijn is responsible for the North Sea policy, and I have to apologize to the Secretary of State that he cannot join us today. However, he is very enthusiastic about blue growth in general and aquaculture in particular. My name is Marijn Rabaut, and I'm working as a North Sea advisor for Mr. Tommelijn, and he asked me to bring you his view on our sea and on the future of aquaculture in our waters, which will actually provide you a regional perspective as announced in the title. Okay, let's get started. Well, first of all, I will have to convince you that we have a very small maritime area, if it ever starts. Yes. Small movie. Just try here, otherwise we have to skip. Okay, we have to skip. I'll show it afterwards if you want. So normally we just go to the southern part of the North Sea. It's only 0.5% of the North Sea that is actually the Belgian part. So there you can see some figures, 3.5 square kilometers. We only have 65 kilometers of coastline. But as I mentioned before, we have a lot of activities around. Of course, we have, like everywhere, fisheries and shipping. But we have also more traditional activities, as you can see there, and we have also several windmills in place. So with all these activities, it's difficult to think of new activities, but still we believe that there is still room for growth, but this growth will only be possible if it's real blue growth, by which we mean that it should be innovative and efficient, especially in the use of space, without harming the ecosystem components, as we have quite a lot out there. So in all policy decisions, we move towards balancing the growth of human activities, which we really want, and the so-called biodiversity and ecosystem function. Maybe a quick example, we have right now more than 180 windmills operational. It's about 700 megawatt. The next few years we will build another 1,000 megawatts, so we're really talking electricity plants at sea. But what we see is that we have an increased biodiversity within these zones, because of course you put some stones, you change your habitat, but of course other activities are not allowed inside. So what we did is we actually try to enhance the effects we already see by introducing artificial reefs. So this is just one example that human activities can go along with building nature. But actually we felt a need for a more integral approach, a North Sea approach as we call it, and this integrated approach is actually a spatial planning. A marine spatial plan for us, it's not something that you really want to have, it's rather a tool that is very useful, we feel, to come to more activities. Moreover, it's the users that want them. They want certainty. They want to know whether they can actually have their site, for instance, to produce algae. What is very important, of course, is that it is a participative process. So everybody have been involved for the current plan. I say current plan because it is adaptive. So the government obliges itself to renew the plan each 6 years, so that's quite fast. We don't want to carve any plan in stone. So the new plan, the first plan was put in place last year, which means in 2020 we need to have another one. This means actually that from next year onwards we are starting evaluating the plan and preparing for the next one. So also on an institutional and political level, it's actually driving the activity. and also important, of course, it is legally binding. Let's move to the plan itself. Well, it looks a bit like this. Well, it's maybe misleading because the process is more important than the map, but anyhow, it shows again that we have a lot of activities around, with the windmill zone over there, then shipping lanes, nature zones, fisheries, etc. But where is aquaculture, you would think? If you look to this integrated activity map, you'll notice that there is not a lot of space left. I think that's a problem in many European countries. But I think a real spatial planning process makes actually multi-use of areas, but also of functions. So in the present MSP, Marine Spatial Plan, there are already 2 zones where aquaculture is actually possible. It's not yet there, but at least it's indicated that it's possible. But also there's some conditions. Aquaculture has to be functional for other aspects, as for example reducing eutrophication, very important, and it has to share space with other users. So when we zoom in to this map, you can see that aquaculture is possible within the area of renewable energy production in the windmill zone, and only if the net result is a reduction of nutrients, it will be allowed. Of course, here for algal production in itself, this is not a problem. It's always extractive. What might be a problem, maybe, is the distance from the coast, and also maybe a more exposed environment further offshore. And therefore, Secretary of State Bartolomé is very much willing to allow scientific testing in the front of the coast, actually to see what is possible. Also this morning it has been argued that we actually need more pilot studies, so we believe this is true, and also for our planning exercise it's very important to know what is possible, because we have many studies around. We actually need real information of what is possible. And the results of these testing of the pilot studies can then easily lead to an adaptation, as we have an MSP in place to develop fully mature production sites in the future. So actually aquaculture is promising for blue growth, and the current policy wants to integrate this aquaculture within sustainable management of the sea. The purifying effects of seaweed is actually interesting in itself, but should we find an economically viable way of algal production, then we have certainly a new pillar to continue a real blue growth in our seas. Blue growth in the sense that there is a possibility for a sustainable growth with positive effects also on biodiversity and ecosystem functioning. So Belgium has its MSP process in place, and we challenge you, scientists and entrepreneurs that are also here today, to contribute to this adaptive management plan we have now at hand. So there is something moving at sea. And to close off, I just want to mention that we have developed a brochure that explains the whole MSP, including aquaculture zones. You can download it. We have it available in Dutch and French, but also in English. I have some brochures with me, or you can simply download it. I really run through this presentation. I hope you are happy with it, and I would be happy to take any questions.
Time for a quick question from anybody?